What's good, YouTube? Brian here, back with another video. And today, this is just going to be a quick video because I got my hands on the new St. Croix Legend Tournament Bass rods. Tomorrow, Friday, March 25th, is the release day, meaning shops have had these rods sitting around for a while, but they weren't allowed to sell them. And March 25th is when all the shops who have these rods can finally sell them, right? So Omnia's got the product loaded. There's a lot of shops that are sitting on these things. However, I found a local shop that already put these things out and were selling them. So they jumped the gun. Whatever. I found out that they were on the rack. So of course I shot over there and really got to look at all these rods that they had. You know, I got to play with them. And what's cool is this particular shop had the new versions of the Legend Tournament. They had a bunch of old ones that they're trying to clearance, so they dropped them to a discount, and then they had a whole rack of victories. So I got to actually grab the new Legend Tournaments, kind of compare it. So they had some same models, like the 7.4 frog rod. So I got to kind of play like for like with the old and the new, and then I got to go grab the victories off the rack and play with those with the Legend Tournament. So this video isn't going to be a review. This isn't like I think there's some complications with how you're going to go shopping for these rods, which I'm going to talk about in a few minutes. But first off, I took some pictures, so I'm going to pop over to the laptop here, and we're going to walk through some of these photos. So first off, this is what I saw. I go into the shop. Here's the full rack. All these Legend Tournaments. I'm like, all right, this is cool. I'm going to go through all these models. They actually had a pretty good selection of the models. They had some of the glass carbon blend rods. They had some of the regular jig and worm rods. They had some spinning rods. So I got to kind of look at a bunch of them from start to finish. So I'm going to go through a few of my pictures. Now, my overall impressions, first off, are this might be the best visually, aesthetically pleasing rod St. Croix's ever built. I looked at every single rod on this rack. I looked at almost all of the, I was a nerd and I just sat and looked at these things. The people in the store probably thought I was a weirdo for just staring at and playing with these rods for like 40 minutes. But I went through and I looked at all the guide wrappings, a lot of the epoxies, the fit and finish overall. I just grabbed a bunch of rods at random and I just started looking at them kind of up close, and they all looked amazing. It's very similar to the victories. So just full disclosure, when I was at the Northwest Sports Show, which is a Minnesota outdoors show a couple weeks ago, I actually got to ran into Ryan Teach from St. Croix, who's one of the product managers at St. Croix. It might be the product manager. So anyway, I'm going through the St. Croix booth and Ryan Teach is like, hey, I like your videos. Like, he singled me out. I didn't talk to him. I didn't even know he was there, but he kind of flagged me down, and he comes over and he's like, hey, I like your videos. He actually admitted that he's shown some of my videos to people at St. Croix in their product meetings. So I've done a fair amount of smack talking about St. Croix over the years, just for the bad fit and finish and the bad balance. And I'm a St. Croix fan, but I also I have kind of high expectations of what they are capable of, and I've been disappointed on a few occasions. So he told me straight up that they've used my videos in their meetings to try and get some things done around St. Croix. So I thought that was kind of embarrassing. I was like, really? You guys are watching my stupid videos in your product meetings at St. Croix? He's like, yeah. I'm like, okay, cool, whatever. So anyway, so I got to have a good conversation with him. And it sounds to me from talking to St. Croix and talking to Ryan that they put a lot of effort into the aesthetics and just making these rods look cool for once. Like, St. Croix has kind of always been like your grandpa's rod company, very straight lace, very old school, very like walleye guy design cues. But they knew with the Legend Tournament series they need to kind of appeal to a higher standard and to more, if they're gonna compete in that $300 $350 price point, they got to up their game. So they spent a lot of time and effort on the aesthetics on these, including the beautiful lock nut, which we're going to talk about in a few minutes. But oops. So anyway, aesthetically, fit and finish, these things are, from what I saw, completely legit. Like, these look great. They look like a $350 rod. When you pick them up and feel them, they feel like a $350 rod. They essentially used a lot of the stuff that they learned, I think, in the Victory line. Or I don't know, these were probably being developed simultaneously, so I don't know the timelines, to be honest. But let's go through a few things. So first rod I wanted to pick up was they had the 711 flipping stick. So this is their 711 heavy flipping stick. What I noticed immediately on this rod was the full cork handle was gorgeous. Really nice cork. This is a significant upgrade from the cork that you find on the Victory rods. Much less filler. I got to hand it to St. Croix. They're A+ in the cork department on their higher end rods. So like the old Legend Tournament Bass had great cork. The cork is awesome on the Legend X and Legend Elites. You know, their cork is like better. Like they have way better nicer cork than Megabass. They just do. They have nicer cork than G. Loomis, in my opinion. So anyway, props to this cork. This handle is gorgeous. It was tapered so that it's a little more meat up here, and then it gets thin, and then it tapers out again at the butt. So I really like this handle on the 711 flipping stick. This thing looks really sweet. Balance-wise, yeah, not great. So I think balance-wise is going to be a mixed bag throughout the line in these rods, because I picked up some of these heavier rods like the 711 flipping stick and like the 7.5 medium heavy and the 7.3 medium heavy, the one that I like in the Victory line. The balance on those things were all pretty much the same as the Victory equivalents, and the balance didn't blow me away. It was not terrible. These rods are way lighter than the old Legend Tournament Basses. So the lightness kind of masks maybe some of the not great balance. So if you're looking, but that being said, some of the rods that I picked up on the rack were balanced really well. So I think it's really kind of like your mileage may vary between rod to rod. And I'll talk about that in a second. So anyway, love the handle on the 711 flipping stick. The weight seemed pretty good. The balance was okay, but honestly, balancing a 711 flipping stick is really tough. My new Steez AGS has amazing balance for a big flipping stick, whereas my Megabass Warhammer has terrible balance. But it is, anyway. So, but this looks like a nice flipping stick. What's interesting though about this 711 flipping stick is the action. It's a moderate, so it's got a pretty soft tip for flipping stick. So if you're looking for a flipping stick that isn't like a straight broomstick, this will be a cool one to look at. So it's got that kind of moderate, like if you're flipping and you want a little give in your flipping stick for throwing like 1 ounce, I think this thing looks pretty sweet. So another rod that I checked out was this Power Flipping Stick. This is like a, this is the 711 label. Sorry, I don't remember exactly what I had in these pictures, but here's a look at the action on these flipping sticks. As you can see, this is that heavy moderate action. This thing is not a broomstick. As you can tell, there's a lot of tip on these bigger flipping sticks. So like there's a 7.6 flipping stick and there's a 7.11, and I checked them both, and they both have this very same similar, really deep taper into the tip. So just be known, if this is the kind of flipping stick you're looking for, which I know a lot of people are, you're fishing a lot of brush. You're not fishing like super thick Florida mats, but you're fishing some lighter stuff. Anyway, point is pretty cool. I liked it. I was pretty impressed. So that's kind of the taper. This is going to be a point of contention, I think, with certain people. Some people are going to love this and some people are going to hate it. So this is that trim piece in the middle of the handle. So your fingers and hands touch this piece quite a bit when you're palming these rods. On the Victories, they put a piece of EVA foam in here. On the Legend Tournament Bass, this is a really tactile, coarse piece of cork, I believe. I don't know if this is synthetic or cork, but it feels like cork, but it's really tactile. It almost reminds me of skateboard grip tape. So if you ever skateboarded or rode on a skateboard, you know that like deck you put the grip tape on, kind of feels sort of like that. Not as harsh, but it reminded me of that. So I like it. I think this is cool. I don't know of another rod that has this kind of like grippy material in the middle, so anyway, I thought it's an interesting design choice. It's different. It definitely sets us apart from other rods in this price point. I like it, but I think there's certain people that are going to pick this up and hate it. So I think it's going to be your mileage may vary on that, but I think it's pretty cool. So Ryan, when I was talking to Ryan Teach from St. Croix, he was very proud in telling me about this lock nut. So apparently Milling this lock nut was a very tough feat of engineering for St. Croix because there's not a single sharp edge on this entire lock nut. Now, I didn't know what when he was telling me about this, I didn't really know what he meant until I picked it up and looked at it, but they rounded off, sorry, I apologize. Let me turn this off. I didn't know my phone was still, had volume. But anyway, so what's interesting to note is this is all rounded, and then all these grooves in the lock nut all have soft rounded edges as well. So he basically told me that the engineering that they had to do to get the 3D milling to get all of these soft corners and soft edges was a little tricky. He said it took a lot of effort, a lot of practice. I'm sorry, not a lot of revisions, but it's gorgeous. I love this lock nut. It is as good as anything that Megabass has put out. Definitely better than anything like Shimano has done for sure. It just looks awesome, and it's a piece of metal. It looks great. It feels really cool in the hand when you touch it and spin it. It feels very premium. Another little design cue that I liked is this plastic piece right here. They colored it gray to match the aesthetic of the rod. They could have just left this thing black and no one would have cared, but I think it's really cool that they made this gray. I don't know why I like it. I just like it. I'm going, okay, so they actually thought all the little details on these Legend Tournament Basses were thought through. You know, you got this gunmetal color on the cap, you got the gunmetal metal piece on the lock nut, and then why not have the trim piece be that kind of gray as well? It just matches the whole aesthetic. So shout out to St. Croix on the design cues on this. It's very, very cool. Let's go to, now this is the 7/4 frog rod in the old Legend Tournament Bass, right here, and then the new. So they had the old one, they had the new one. Now the weight difference is fairly significant. Like the old Legend tournaments weren't like super heavy, but the new one is definitely heavier. I didn't bring a scale, so I couldn't actually like put these things on scales. I think guys at the store would have thought I'm an idiot if I'm like weighing their rods in the store. But if you notice though, the handle position is a lot different. The handle, your reel is going to sit further back on the new 7/4. Now when you put these rods on the floor, bottom to top, they're the same, like same length as like the old 7/4 and the new 7/4. But there's less handle on the new Legend Tournament Basses. The reel's going to sit back a little further back. Now, balance wise, I owned this 7/4 Legend Tournament, this exact rod. I had it, and the balance was terrible. It hurt my wrist frogging this thing for a couple hours. Really bad fatigue. The balance point is pretty much the same on the new one. I don't think they made really a big advancement on the balance, but it is a lighter rod. So maybe it'll be less fatiguing because it's lighter, but it's not like night and day balance wise. They both felt pretty much the same, a little tip heavy. It's just the old one is a little heavier. So anyway, that's just my personal opinion. There are other rods though that I tested and held that were definitely a little better balanced. So one thing I gotta say is I love the trim pieces. So the whole aesthetics of the handle on the new Legend Tournament is amazing in person. Super striking. You get the metal cap. You got these metal pieces down here for accents. The fit and finish is great. The labeling is great. These rods look $300 to $350. So unlike like a Legend X, which does not look like a $400+ rod, these look way better than the Legend Extreme. I'm sorry. I think these look better than the Legend Extremes. I think the Legend Extremes look terrible. They're super boring. But anyway, this might literally be the best. I keep fawning about this, but I think this literally might be the best looking rods that St. Croix has ever made. They just look awesome. So anyway, let's keep moving forward here. So love the lock nut, old versus new. So this is interesting. This is the 7.3, the Max Tactical. No, the Max. I forget the names of these things, but this is that 7.3 medium heavy that I like and own. I own this rod in the Victory line. Here it is, right next to the same exact 7.3 medium heavy in the Legend Tournament line. Weight wise, these things are literally the same. If I kept switching hands, I'm like, which one's lighter, which one's lighter? They both feel super light. I don't feel a signal difference between. Now remember, this is a $200 rod. This is a $300+ rod. I didn't feel like the Victory was really that much of a step down as far as like balance and weight. And on the balance, these things balance the exact same. So I have to say they probably use the exact same mandrels to roll both of these rods. You're just getting different fit and finish on the handles. The cork is way different. So the cork on the Victory is definitely cheaper. It's got way more filler. The cork on the Legend Tournament is way nicer, way more plush, and a lot less filler. So if you're going, if I'm spending over $100 more to get the Legend Tournament, you're getting a lot better handle. As you can see, the handle pieces are the same. Like this is the same part right here, but you're getting better cork. You're getting better guides, so higher end guides. These are Fuji's on this side. I forget which guides are on the Legend or on the Victory, but they are cheaper. So you're getting better guides. You're getting better fit and finish, better handle. It's pretty much the same weight. In hand, I couldn't tell the difference, and pretty much the same balance point. Like, right? I mean, these rods were nearly identical. However, if we go over to the spinning rods, so this is the 7.3 Max Tactical, I believe it's called. Oh, the other one was called Full Contact Finesse or something like that. So anyway, this is the 7.3 spinning rod that I really like. I own this rod in the Victory line. I've done videos on it. This is the Legend Tournament Bass version. Now, a couple things to note. You're getting less handle material. If you notice, you're losing about 2 inches of cork off the top of the Victory. So if you like the Victory and you like doing full handle grip above the reel, you're going to have less real estate there on the Legend Tournament Bass. However, the rest of it looks amazing. I think the Legend Tournament spinning rod, the handle looks really cool. You get the metal trim piece. You're getting the metal trim piece at the top. You're getting the metal trim piece down here. You're getting another metal trim piece down here. I mean, it just feels super premium next to the Victory. Weight-wise, they feel the exact same. However, one thing I noticed with this particular rod is the balance on the Legend Tournament version of the 7.3 was better. Like it felt, even though it has less handle material, maybe there's a little more weight in the handle with all the metal stuff. I don't know. But for some reason, this one did balance better. It felt less tip heavy. The balance point was further back. So I actually, if I was going to upgrade a rod and I'm like, which one do I think is better? I definitely think the 7.3 spinning rod in the Legend Tournament felt a little better balance. Definitely looked more premium. So I don't know. This is the spinning rods in the Legend Tournament Bass might be like winners, right? These look really sweet. So anyway, here's a little closer up view of the two. You can tell that you're losing a little bit of cork at the top up here, but on the LTB, you're getting that cool metal accent instead. Better cork on this side. Basically the same parts all around. These are, I believe these are Fuji grips. Like this is Fuji components here. Now, shopping for these things is going to be a pain in the butt. Nobody's going to like this. I'm going to wrap this up now. Navigating these models is really tough. I was going through all these models on the thing, and I was playing with some of the crankers. Like I got to try they had the carbon cranker, they had the finesse carbon cranker, they had the rip and chatter. These are going to be really hard rods to navigate, to know what techniques are going to be great on this, because St. Croix, the information about these rods is just not out there. All their marketing materials, they've done nothing to inform you of what you're buying. They're like, the rods are going on for sale tomorrow, but they don't do any deep dive breakdowns of like, what are these models? What are they good for? Because what's the difference between the finesse carbon cranker and the carbon cranker? And where do they line up against the finesse glass cranker? I even like me playing with the rods in the store, I had a hard time figuring out like which is which. So I think St. Croix has really dropped the ball on informing buyers about like what these rods do and what they're capable of. I wish they would just come out with a video where you go through all the line. I don't know why companies don't just do this. So navigating, buying rods on the internet without actually picking them up in store and figuring out what techniques they're good for, good luck. It just is what it is. I couldn't even really figure out. There's a lot of different models here. I will say that they're moving bait rods, the ones that had the glass to carbon blends, felt really good. They felt amazing. I think the moving bait rods in the LTB lineup are probably going to be some of the more compelling rods to check out because it's new to St. Croix. They've never done this glass composite blend. So anyway, that's kind of my overall thoughts and opinions on the LTB release and the drop that's happening tomorrow. Like I said, good things. Good things. They look amazing. Fit and finish is fantastic. Balance is going to be, your mileage may vary from model to model. Some models I think are going to be really well balanced. Some are going to be kind of the same old, same old. And I think all the new models with the glass composite, the glass blends are really compelling, and the spinning rods seem really nice. So that's kind of my overall thoughts. If you're buying any of those tomorrow on the release day, good luck. I will link where you can pick them up at Omnia in the description. So if you've made it this far in the video, you should definitely be liking and subscribing, and we'll see you on the next one. Hopefully I'll get my hands on one of these rods this summer, and we'll do a review later on. So we'll see. Thank you so much for watching. Peace out.